Clueless opens inside a version of high school life that looks bright, glossy, and completely under control. Cher Horowitz moves through Beverly Hills like she was born to manage every room she walks into. She has the clothes, the confidence, the opinions, and the complete belief that with the right plan, almost any problem can be fixed. At first, that makes her seem shallow, spoiled, and a little impossible. But the movie slowly reveals something sweeter underneath all the style and chaos. Cher genuinely wants people to be happy. The trouble is that she thinks she understands love, friendship, and life much better than she actually does. Cher lives in a huge house with her father Mel Horowitz, a hard-driving lawyer who argues for a living and brings that same intensity home. He loves Cher deeply, but most of his affection comes out through blunt advice, worried questions, and loud opinions about everything around him. Cher lost her mother when she was young, so the house runs on a strange mix of wealth, freedom, and emotional improvising. She has almost no rules by ordinary standards, but she has grown up sheltered by privilege all the same. At school, Cher rules her social world with her best friend Dion Davenport. Dion is just as fashionable, just as sharp, and just as committed to the idea that appearance matters. Together they are experts at walking through the halls like everything around them is a performance they are directing. Dion also has a boyfriend, Murray Duval, whose energy is loud, funny, and always a little too much. Their relationship swings between affection and annoyance, but it never lacks drama. Cher thinks of herself as helpful, and the movie proves that this is not completely delusional. Early on, she decides that two of her teachers, Mr. Hall and Miss Geist, need to fall in love. Mr. Hall is strict, dry, and impossible to impress. Miss Geist is nervous, sweet, and completely different from him. Cher and Dion start pushing them together through little manipulations, strategic conversations, and classroom timing. The plan actually works. The teachers soften, their romance begins, and Cher gets a rush from playing matchmaker. To her, this success is proof that she has a special gift. That belief gets stronger when a new girl arrives at school. Ty Frazier is completely unlike Cher and Dion. She's awkward, rough around the edges, and totally out of step with Beverly Hills style. Cher immediately decides that Ty is a project. What follows looks generous on the surface. Cher and Dion take Ty under their wing, clean up her look, teach her the social map of the school, and introduce her to a version of herself that fits their world better. For Cher, this makeover feels like kindness mixed with artistic accomplishment. She is proud of what she can do for Ty, but even in these early scenes, the movie shows the problem inside that generosity. Cher is not asking Ty who she wants to be, she is deciding for her. Floating around Cher's life during all this is Josh Lucas, the son of one of her father's former wives. He's not her blood relative, but they grew up close enough to have that old family familiarity that makes every conversation feel like an argument they have already had before. He is older, in college, political, opinionated, and completely unimpressed by the world Cher and Dion treat as so important. He teases Cher constantly, calls out her selfishness, and refuses to treat her like a perfect princess. At first, Cher thinks Josh is annoying and self-righteous. He thinks Cher is spoiled and superficial. But their scenes have a spark from the beginning because he sees through her in a way almost nobody else does. He notices both her blind spots and the good heart underneath them. Cher, meanwhile, is so used to putting boys into categories that she never even thinks of Josh as a possible romantic figure. In her mind, he is just Josh, always there, always judging, always somehow part of the furniture of her life. Back in school, Cher decides Ty needs romance as part of her transformation. She first tries to steer Ty toward Elton Tissia, a rich and popular boy who seems charming enough to make sense on paper. Cher assumes Elton will naturally want Ty once she is polished enough, but Cher once again misunderstands the situation. Elton has never really been interested in Ty, he likes Cher. This mistake becomes obvious after a party. Ty feels closer to Elton, Cher feels proud of her own matchmaking skills, and then the whole thing falls apart when Elton gets Cher alone in his car and makes a move on her. Cher is shocked and angry, not only because she does not like him that way, but because she genuinely never saw it coming. Elton refuses to understand that she has been trying to help Ty and not flirting with him. It is one of the first moments where Cher's confidence in reading social situations takes a real hit. Things get worse after that when Elton leaves her stranded and Cher ends up alone at night during a frightening robbery. A mugger demands that she lie on the ground, and even in danger, Cher cannot stop thinking like herself. The scene is funny, but it also matters because it punctures the fantasy bubble around her life. For a few minutes, the movie lets real fear into the story. Soon after, Cher becomes fascinated by another boy, Christian Stavitz. Christian seems perfect. He is stylish, handsome, cultured, and mysterious in a way that feels exciting to her. Cher is convinced that she has finally found the right match for herself, and she puts a huge amount of effort into trying to make him like her. She arranges time together, dresses for him, flirts awkwardly, and imagines the whole thing moving naturally toward romance. But Christian is not interested in her at all, not because she is lacking, but because he is gay. Cher never sees it, even though nearly everyone around her does. This is another blow to her confidence. She keeps trying to force the world to line up with the story she wants, and it keeps refusing. Meanwhile, Ty is changing in ways Cher did not predict. The makeover works so well that Ty becomes popular on her own. Boys who ignored her before now notice her. Her confidence rises, but instead of simply becoming Cher's grateful student, she begins outgrowing the role Cher wrote for her. At the same time, Dion is dealing with her own romantic nonsense with Murray. Their arguments are loud and dramatic, but underneath all the bickering, they are still deeply attached. Their relationship is messy in a more honest way than the polished fantasies Cher keeps trying to build for everybody else. All of this leads toward one of the most important shifts in the movie. Cher starts receiving signs that she is not as in control as she thought. She does badly on a driving test. She struggles in school when charm and image are not enough. Her plans for Ty and Elton fail. Her dream of Christian fails. The one thing she still clings to is the belief that at least she understands who belongs with whom. Then Ty says she likes Josh. This hits Cher much harder than she expects. At first she reacts possessively without fully understanding why. She tells herself Josh would never be right for Ty, that the match is wrong, that Ty is being unrealistic. But the truth is dawning on her. She is jealous. And if she is jealous, then she feels something for Josh that she has never admitted, maybe not even to herself. That realization crashes into her all at once. Cher starts replaying every moment with Josh in a new light. The way he shows up for her, the way he challenges her, the way he notices things that others miss, the way his opinion matters to her much more than she wants to admit. For the first time in the whole movie, Cher stops trying to manage someone else's love story and is forced to face her own. What makes this part work so well is that the movie does not suddenly turn Cher into a completely different person. She is still funny, still dramatic, still capable of thinking in very Cher-like ways, but she starts growing up emotionally. She sees that she has been treating people like pieces on a board. She sees that Ty was never a doll to dress up and place where she wanted. She sees that real feelings do not obey her plans. This emotional shift also pushes Cher towards something more genuine in the rest of her life. She gets involved in a disaster relief fundraiser at school and begins paying attention to the world beyond clothes, popularity, and her own next move. That does not mean she becomes a totally different person overnight. The movie is smarter than that. Instead, it shows her learning that kindness means more than fixing surfaces. It means caring without turning other people into projects. Ty and Cher eventually clash hard when Ty, now confident and popular, lashes out and accuses Cher of being selfish and controlling. The fight hurts because there is truth inside it. Cher has helped Ty, but she has also shaped and judged her. For maybe the first time, Cher has to sit with the fact that good intentions do not erase damage. During all of this, Josh keeps appearing at the edges of her life with the same mix of teasing and concern. He notices her efforts to improve. He notices her vulnerability. And while Cher is busy trying to figure out what her own heart is doing, the audience can see that Josh has been feeling something too. The final emotional turn comes when Cher fully accepts that she is in love with him. It is not glamorous. It is confusing, humiliating, and strangely sweet. For someone who thought she understood everything about romance from the outside, actually falling in love feels like losing her balance. When the truth finally comes out between them, it lands gently. Josh has always seen beyond Cher's surface, and now Cher is beginning to see beyond her own. Their connection makes sense not because it was part of any grand plan, but because it grew quietly under all their bickering and familiarity. He challenges her to be better, and she brings warmth and life into his seriousness. Around them, the smaller stories settle too. Mr. Hall and Miss Geist end up together in a charming payoff to Cher's original matchmaking success. Dion and Murray keep finding their way back to each other through all their arguing. Ty moves on from Josh and starts connecting with Travis Birkenstock, the sweet skater stoner she never would have considered at the start. That pairing works precisely because it is real instead of strategic. Ty is finally choosing for herself. The movie closes at the teacher's wedding, where everything comes together in bright, happy chaos. Cher catches the bouquet, and what once would have seemed like the most important symbol in the world now feels almost secondary. She is no longer obsessed with controlling what comes next. She has grown into someone who can let love happen without scripting every step. Clueless works because it understands that growth does not have to erase charm. Cher does not become less herself by the end. She is still fashionable, funny, and dramatic. What changes is that she learns to see other people more clearly and herself more honestly. The girl who begins the movie convinced she can arrange everyone around her ends it finally aware that real love, real friendship, and real maturity are messier than that. So Clueless ends as something much smarter than a simple teen comedy. It is a story about a girl who thinks she knows everything and slowly realizes that being clueless might be the first step toward becoming wise. And somewhere between the outfits, the parties, the crushes, and the chaos, Cher Horowitz grows up just enough to understand what really matters.